James, so great to see you again and to chat to you about music and live shows.
Yeah, good to see you too. Good to talk about all of those things for sure.
Grapefruit season. I was listening to it, and I was listening to it while I was working, and I was sitting down, and all of a sudden I found myself it's the type of album where I can't help but move. And all of a sudden I went from just moving around on my desk, and then I just got up and went, stuff this, I'm just getting up and having a dance to it. It is so good. How do you feel about having it out there?
It's strange. First of all, thank you. That's lovely. It's strange because, like, last year I wanted to have it out and then I couldn't. And then I changed a huge amount of it to kind of like, try and make it the best thing it could potentially be. But then I still had to sit and wait. So like, I was worried that I wouldn't be excited because I'm so used to doing things so fast, and then I have to sit and wait. But I have been getting really excited about it again. And then when I got to London yesterday, I was in my Uber and the guy was like, "What do you do?" And I said, "I make music." And I said I was here because of a record. So I played it for him in the car, and he loved it so much. And it was weirdly what I needed to get me really excited again. Like, it made me really feel real again.
Because it's really interesting that you keep saying you waited, because a lot of people were recording during the pandemic and going, do you know what, forget about it, I'm just releasing now. But you had most of this album recorded pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Why did you make that conscious decision to not release it during the pandemic?
Honestly, without sounding ridiculous or too like cocky or anything, I just thought it was too good to give away. Like, there's no, if people want to read that as like arrogance, and that is what it is. But like I just put 2 years of my life into this thing, and like I commit when I'm making music on a level that is required but is intense. The idea of then giving that out into a world where like people's attention spans were zero, and no one was ingesting music the way that they take it in, like no commutes, no meeting other people to talk about things that you've watched or listened to, all of that gone. The idea of giving it out into that world would have just broken my heart. So I just couldn't do it. Simple as that.
Well, do you know, I'm so glad you waited, because I really do think we're ready to accept this as it was meant to be. And as I said, I was listening to it, I got up and I danced, and I was excited. And I'm excited about the world that, everyone I've been talking to, it's this nervous trepidation. Like, we're so excited about what's happening, but we're nervous. But it's a good thing. And like I suppose you probably had the most nerves of all of us when you got to play that very first gig at the Ivy Gardens. James, I was jealous of every single person at that gig. What was that like for you?
I mean, in the moment, it was beautiful. Like, I think if you watch the live stream, it was palpable how much we all wanted it to happen. And I think that's me plus the audience, everybody on stage. It was an incredible thing. I was obviously disappointed in the aftermath of it that more meaningful stuff didn't happen during the summer. I felt like a window was missed. That was disappointing to me, as someone that has a huge amount of, like, to say I have a lot of heart for the Irish music business sounds a little bit trite, but like, in a very specific sense, like, I hire 15, 16 people. I wanted them to have their jobs back. I wanted them to feel that sense of self-worth. I think this is an industry of nth degree professionals. So it was incredible to see all those people in that week leading up to it, to see them again doing what they do, doing what they love. And it's lovely to see that again now. We've been playing shows. I'm over here for Isle of Wight Festival, just being around musicians again, and being in audiences and seeing the value that comes from that on a kind of on so many levels. That was incredible, that at that moment in the Ivy Gardens, to kind of bear witness to it, and hopefully people that needed to see it realized how important culture is to Ireland.
Culture is massive, and it's something that we've really, really missed. And what we've realized as well is, yes, during the pandemic, we tried to get it wherever we could, TV, music, but it was one thing absorbing that on your own. There is nothing like being amongst strangers, total strangers, and being united by music. You're going to do that. And it's so exciting to say, on the 19th and 20th of April, you're playing the Olympia. How does that feel to go, oh my God, we can start putting on shows again?
I mean, it's slightly strange, and feels like, again, like when it gets close to it, it'll feel climactic. But I think I've sold the tickets and had to give them back 3 times for those shows. So like, we could have played the 3 Arena at this point. The amount of tickets we've had to sell and return So
Yeah.
it's really strange, you know what I mean? Like I feel really confident that when April comes around, like, you know, we'll be able to play them. But it does, like, Ireland feels just a little bit different, a little bit more nebulous to the rest of the world. But fingers crossed, because, like, you know, again, I've been doing a lot of stuff lately. I did this thing for the RT with the RT Orchestra that airs in a couple of weeks, where we did some cover versions, and I brought in Gemma Dunleavy and I brought in the Scratch to do like some of my favorite songs and perform them with the orchestra. Just seeing musicians with other musicians creating in those catalytic moments that you can't make up and don't work on a live stream and don't work in any other context than live, bearing witness to it. Seeing that and realizing that, yeah, we're going to get back to shows, and fingers crossed, when we do, in a meaningful sense, people will appreciate it. Even if they appreciate it 5% more, I'll take it. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
expecting this sea change. You know, I know we're going to dip back into like our lives of like the cycle, and we just expect what we expect. But my hope is that even if we have a little bit more appreciation for a little bit longer, it can't but be to our benefit.
I think it will be. I'm loving that you called your new album Grapefruit Season. I didn't even know what this season meant before I heard you talk about it. Tell me about this and why you say you're going through this season right now.
I mean, I think I've been going through this season for my entire life, I think, is more to the point. But I hadn't really identified it. And it doesn't mean anything to anybody. It means something to me.
What is it to you?
So yeah, basically, like, I do a lot of things in my life to try and make myself feel better. Have done for the majority of my adult life. Music is the biggest thing that's made me feel better. It's giving me my outputs, and gives me a voice, and an ability to connect with myself and obviously with others. And then there's all these other things that you do, right? Like, from like, I'm not that, you know, there's moments in my life where I haven't been very healthy, but then you do these things where, like, you know, like you take cod liver oil, or you eat grapefruit. And that sort of became, yeah, like, you know, like that became the things that we don't necessarily enjoy, that we do in
Yeah.
order to try and make ourselves feel a little bit better in the moment, while not necessarily, for me personally, working very hard to try and get to the root of where I am or what I am and why that is, and be a bit more at peace with it. So the idea of the grapefruit sort of became this avatar that I kind of worked towards as this thing that represented like me, and the fact that I am a chaotic person, while also being very responsible for those 15 or 16 people that I said. And I take my job very seriously, and I take the people around me very seriously. And I am a serious person, while also being like vaguely a ridiculous non-functional person. You know, someone that if I wasn't able to do this job, I don't know what I'd do, because for 10 years people have guided me around the world and taken care of me. And that's, you know, so like, there's so many parts of me that are lacking, and other parts of me, and rather than try and fight it and try and figure out ways that I can like augment this bit and minimize this bit, I'm just trying to embrace it all, and be at peace with it. And that speaks in the record too, because, you know, it's 14 tracks, and it does all of the things that I've done for all of my career. It goes from like me with a guitar, to me with a piano, to me with synthesizers, to me with drums, me with like an R&B record, me with an Afrobeat record. Everything that I've done in moderation throughout my career, I've just brought together in a way that I think represents my life, and the kind of chaotic but also linear nature of it. If that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Completely. And do you know what I love that you've done as well? You've come to the realization as well that, you know, this is your music and you
Yeah.
want it out there for people to enjoy. But I've heard you say that, you know, once I stop making it, like, it's done and it's out there, it's no longer mine anymore. It's up to people to interpret the way that they want to interpret it. And I think that's really important. Like, we find meaning in this album that you may not find. And that's the great thing about music.
Yes, that's like literally is the defining point of music, is like, I can try and infer and get in there what I want to get in there, and what I hope that you take from it, but I can't account for you and the subjectivity of it all, nor do I want to. And even that idea, I've bowed to that idea in the past. You know, I've made records that have been very linear and very like sonically consistent, but then even within that, there's songs in there that I'm like, I'm kind of phoning it in here, but sonically it fits the brief. And I think that that is letting myself down and letting the audience down, because I want to bring everything that I've got to every song that I've got. And if that means, and the only way I can do that is if each song is a little island in and of itself. So
Yeah.
when a song like Gone comes out and people are like, oh, you're doing this now, I'm like, no, I've always been doing this. I've never existed within a genre. I'm an alternative artist. I do what needs to be done. And I love that. And I want everyone to take what they take from that. So if someone just takes the rhythm from that record and wants to dance to it, that's great. If someone wants to listen to the lyric in a plain spoken way and understand what I'm saying on that level, that's fantastic too, because I'm saying a lot in that song. So these are the depths and the opaque and it's just the beauty of music, right? Like, so you just want to try and get it all in there and let people take what they take.
Completely. Well, James, thank you so much for sharing a piece of you with us and for just making us feel, because we all need that right now.
Yeah, I definitely need it too. So yeah, I'm excited for it to be in the world. Thank you so much.
Thanks, James. Hopefully next time we chat to you, it'll be in studio.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is my last round of Zooms. I'm
Yes.
definitely I'm definitely done. Slowly pushing my earbuds back into my ears every time they start to fall out. I'm done with that. So definitely, yes.